YouTube fam and Facebook fam. I have some of you all watching from Facebook, some watching from YouTube. How y'all doing this evening? It's a little bit later than I initially planned or expected. I just came off of the Suzette Speaks show. Great content creator. Does a lot of different discussions that are really edifying to the community, and she seeks to elevate with her discussions. And I was very honored to be a guest where I talked a little bit about this sort of new dating system, what I call Frank's 5-star dating system, if you will, because I'm going to put my name on it, right? And we got a chance to talk a little bit about what it's all about, why I created it, and how we can use it. So what I want to do with this one is with my live is just talk just a little bit about it. If you've been following my channel, you see that, and you already know, and I even posted this on Facebook, that I created an hour-long video going deep into the Frank's 5-star dating quiz, for men and women. And I took it myself, and I wanted to demonstrate sort of what it was all about, and the kind of introspection and authenticity you need to have if you're gonna take this. What I will say is, hey, I want to give a shout out real quick to some of you who are here. The lioness of videography. So glad that you popped in. Just a splash of sunshine. I'm gonna add that, just a splash of positivity. Thank you for always coming through. You always, you're a moderator for my chat, and you always bring positivity with you, really, wherever you go. Thank you for supporting me. You are a day one, and I'm gonna always honor you for that. I see I'm looking a little shiny. It was a little warm. It was a little warm on the other one for me. Let me give a shout out. Vaughn, it's been a minute. Vaughn is one of the actors in my Life or Death project, what I do on my other channel. And it's been a long time. We're about to get geared up with Life or Death. We have completed half of that animated series, and we're going to do the other half. And I'm looking really excited about where that's going. And we're going to finish that up over the early part of the summer. So shout out to Vaughn. Glad you are here. I think there was, and Facebook here, you see in fact, someone that I just met here recently who's watching on Facebook right now. I don't think that when she's typing on Facebook, it pops up over here. But you see, I spoke back to her on Facebook. If you want to join the chat and type in the chat and be so that it can be seen by everyone, then I encourage you to click the YouTube link, because I don't think that the Facebook chats can be seen over here. But I'll try to shout you out. And from time to time, I'll try to check the Facebook chats too to see if I have questions over there on Facebook. Major Change Group. I forget if you were over here before Suzette. If you were following my channel before Suzette Speaks, but if you weren't, then I welcome you. Thank you for coming through. I forget your icon looks familiar though, so maybe you were already over here. But either way, what's up? What's happening? Glad you're here. We got OG Patrice, another vet now, from Life or Death, and just a vet in general in terms of entertainment. OG Patrice in the house. What's happening? I got a chance to meet OG Patrice, as you guys know from the channel, in person when I went to the Las Vegas Black Film Festival, run by Miss Michelle. And we got a chance to hang out, and it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah, and I see here, it's been a minute. Yeah, and I thought you looked familiar for sure. but it's been a minute for me too. I haven't been live on my own channel in weeks. So for sure, OG, thanks for coming through. And I'm gonna try to keep this long, but some people are gonna have some questions, I think, about it. So I just wanted to kind of go through and give some of these shouts out. And I'm gonna keep it quick, pretty quick here, because you see this is something that's a little bit different here when I talk about this subject, this notion of this new kind of, I guess, and I'll say new, but something I created, which for me, this is all about trying to have a different conversation about what it is and what it means to be kind of out here, single, and trying to find something that you feel is real, a legit connection with someone that can be lasting. And so when we talk about it, we talk about the one. We want to find the one. We want to find our soulmate. We're kind of in an environment where it's not conducive to that. People playing, people on Tinder and on all these other dating sites, and it's a hookup culture. It's not it's not back in the day. I was on Suzette Speaks channel talking about how the old school, my parents and grandparents would say, coating, right? You're gonna code switch, you coating with courting, where there was an actual process for actual courtship. That's not happening now in this day and age at all. We all know it. Instead, it's a lot of foolishness. And that foolishness is keeping people, it's becoming an impediment because you don't know who's real. This is for the ladies and the men. You don't know, ladies, you don't know whether or not you're finding somebody who wants to play around or be serious. And it's kind of similar on the men's side. So I wanted to create something that just sort of doing my part, because I'm in here. I want to do something that helps me as well. To do my part to kind of change the conversation, contribute to a different way that we in this space, in this culture, in this time, look at it, and it's not going to be anything that it's not going to change the culture, but it's going to, hopefully, for those of you who are serious and interested in, doing what you can to find that significant other, who you can create a meaningful relationship with. Maybe this is one way that, you can begin to go about it. If you've watched, some of you have taken my quiz, and others of you have not yet. I'm just gonna, because I don't want to go too deep into it. I will fly into it. I'm gonna drop my link. So for those of you who kind of want to come up and talk a little bit about it, as well as for those of you who want to ask questions, I'm going to go ahead and invite you up. And for those of you who even have comments, I have a few people in here who either like they could be married, are married, and so they have a perspective to share about the kinds of things that they did en route to becoming married and forming that kind of bond, lifelong bond with someone. We have people who have very strong points of view who aren't necessarily married, but are bringing the Christian perspective. And not everyone who's watching is a Christian, but I will say that is, taking God out of this courtship process is definitely has as a big part of why we are out here kind of lost and doing our own thing. We took God out of it. We took just the whole notion of how God would want us to move forward on that. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. But, they're here for me. I don't necessarily want to turn it into like a sermon of, okay, everybody need to go to church and meet your wife or your husband in church, and that's it. That's in the story. Because we know that while that is definitely the way to go, living in this day and age, that's not something that everybody's going to be receptive to. You might as well be speaking a different language to some people when when you say something like that. We need to have traditional courtship. We need to do it how they did it 70 years ago. We need to be in church. Absolutely, we do. But saying that isn't going to make that happen. And people aren't, that's just going to go, because this culture, we gone. We already gone. We are absolutely lost. And there are a few people who understand the right way or the proper way to go about it. We need to be talking about that. But for me, I'm all about trying to suggest some practical solutions that meets people, meets the culture, meets us where we are, and begin to have these discussions about why they are important. Why is it important to abstain, from sex, to actually not be like out here in some places out here in Atlanta that, the dating culture is 3 dates and then it's sex time, maybe less. If you're not having sex by that third date, then that's it. You're not dating anymore. That's that's lost. That's out there. So we need to be talking about, well, what kinds of things that we need to be focusing on in order to create edifying relationships. And if we can talk about it and then offer some very practical, realistic ways about how we go about it, if that's the goal, then there you go. And so for me, I happen to have created something that I think is on that. I'm going to bring this up real quick just to share the screen and then and just mention it. I'm not going to go through it and talk about why I think that something like this is at least a step in the right direction. I'm not going to call it a solution. Oh, and that's at the very end of it. Let's see. Let me share a different one real quick. Hold on. I'm going to share the other one because when I was over on Suzette's channel, I had the honor of actually taking the quiz myself as a way to model it and talk about the questions that are on the quiz. And so while I'm bringing this up, the notion here is that simply we need to be introspective about who we are as we head out here into this dating game. All right, we need to be introspective and honest about what we can present. So you see, I keep up with this 5-star metaphor, comparing the kinds of things that we offer to potential mates, the way that restaurants, 5-star restaurants, offer their services to their patrons. All right, 5-star services, top of the top. All right, perfect or as close to perfect. I've made note that, when you talk about 5-star restaurants, like legitimate 5-star restaurants, there are only a precious few in this country. There are only just over 200 Michelin rated 5-star or star restaurants in this country. 200 out of a total of over 600,000 actual restaurants and over 100,000 national food chains where people can eat. 200 out of 600,000. Even if you go 200 out of over 100,000, that's 0.2%, and really less than that. 0.2% of the total number of restaurants in this country are actual 5-star restaurants. So that's 1/5 of 1%. So when I bring up this analogy, what I'm trying to do is establish a way to think about us, who we are, what we present, have us be honest about it, and we can say, this is what we can bring to a relationship. This is you stepping into my establishment. And so for those of you who've already taken this quiz, I asked some very detailed and very some thorough questions about who you think you are, who you portray yourself to be. And then the way I put it on Suzette's show is, you take something that's detailed and nuanced, and then you make it into something that's easy for people to talk about. So I take these questions and I sort of crunch them up into a 5-star system, and we can use that as a starting point about so that we can see in potential mates what we could potentially see in that person, how they represent themselves. And these are important things. So, I'll fly through this, the kinds of things that are on this quiz. And this is the one for women. I have one for women. I also have one for men. Right now, I have roughly, I think about 25 people have taken this already, mostly women. So, fellas, we need you to jump in because these ladies are putting themselves out here wanting to be found. And right now, the fellas, you guys are lagging behind. But let me talk about some of the questions. I won't answer them, but when you ask what kinds of questions are we asking ourselves to be introspective about and honest about, what are the things that we bring to the table in terms of who we are? One is income here, and I'm just going to fly through these and go 2.5 stars just so you can see some of them. What your financial stability is. Are you home and family oriented? How much of that on a scale of 1 to 5 are you really? Are you kind of focused more on your career, or are you someone who's focused on home? And there's no judgment one way or the other, up or down, but you need to be honest about where you are if you're going to find someone who's looking for these types of things. And not all of us are looking for someone who maybe is home and family oriented. Maybe some of us are looking for someone who is a go-getter and is taking initiative in achieving success in the workspace. But we need to know where you are on this scale. How authentic and down to earth are you? And I'm just flying through these. How self-aware do you think you are? What's your devotion to God? For many men, this is huge. This is important. And it's not necessarily for everyone, but for those of you who this is important, this question needs to be here. And if you don't believe in God, you put a 1 there. What's your devotion to healthy habits and your lifestyle? How respectful are you in general? How respectful are you in general? Your intellectual ability, and so on. I have a total of 18 questions. I'm gonna come off this because I don't want to right now at the beginning get too bogged down into the questions. But the point here is that it's a very thorough quiz that asks you to self-assess and be honest about it. And then after that, I give you what I call, and I'll go ahead and share this because I'll just share mine. I will share mine. I took this being as honest as I could. I think if you guys watched the video, you saw that. You saw me taking it and being very forthcoming, and the presumption being that I'm answering these questions in ways that once we get these results, they are actually accurate results. It's meaningful for people who might be interested in talking to Frank Gooden. So I'm going to share this screen. Let's see. I'm going to show this, and I'll fly through this. So once you take the quiz, all right, and I'm going to make sure that you guys see that. Yeah, you won't. Let's see if I can leave this, put this up. Yeah, that's not quite as big as I want, but you'll see, I'm going to read them out to you. You'll see that once you take the quiz, then I crunch the numbers and provide you with star ratings based on all these different things. So when I took the quiz, my star rating, I'm presenting myself as a 3 3/4 star individual out here on this dating market. 3 3/4. So if you kind of compare that to restaurants, I'm a little short of a 4-star restaurant, but well above a 3-star restaurant in terms of services, if you will. That what you can expect. That's all around. But the ladies have different things that they pay attention to. So all around, if no one particular thing, if all of it has equal weight for a given woman, then maybe they'll go with this 3.74. Well, let's say a woman is looking for an intelligent man first over everything else. Well, according to the way I answered it to that woman, then my rating goes up to a little over 4 1/4 stars. I created a formula that gives us a little boost here based on the answers to that I answered. And if they're accurate, then maybe they're a little bit more for those that are looking for a smart man first over everything else. They place a priority on it. Maybe here is where they will see me in terms of level of attractiveness. Wealthy, if they're looking for a wealthy man, I'm well below a 4. I'm not a 2.5. I'm not necessarily average, but I'm not going to be, the bee's knees as far as that. So, but decent, so if they're looking for a wealthy man first, this is what they're dealing with: 3.5 stars. Handsome, sexy. The way I answered that question on the physical side is just shy of a 4 based on the way that I answered. So that's how I present myself. And it's interesting. This part is something that can be very quickly, you can find out whether or not somebody's, kind of playing around or being inauthentic. If people say, Frank, you out of 5 stars, you're giving yourself almost 4, but no, you're not no almost 4-star dude, then I'm gonna get that feedback real quick, and I'm gonna have to come back, and for the people who prioritize that and not rate myself so highly. Or maybe there's some people who say, no, maybe Frank, you're a little bit higher than that to me, so that's something that can be checked by the community. Man of God, 4 stars where I rated myself. So you keep on going here. Dependability, the romantic side. If someone's looking for a romantic man first, guess what? The way I rated myself, it's a little low, maybe just above average. It's not below average, 2.5, but it's not a 3-star. So the way I rated myself is my natural inclination is not to be romantic. And so for a woman who's looking to be romanced first throughout the entire relationship, they know it's going to be some cap there. It's going to be some game if it opens up and I'm being all super romantic, but then once we get settled in, I'm not as romantic anymore. I'm falling back to my 2.75-star self. Now, this is something that if I chose to, I could increase intentionally. But when you go through, these questions are asking you where you are naturally. So it forces us, or at least it requests us, to be really honest and authentic about where we really are. And there might be some people who this could be the lowest thing on them. They want someone who's dependable first, and maybe a man of God, and maybe they're not sweating the romance side. All right, so for them, I'm going to be more attractive. And then caring, kind, 4.25 stars. So that's just one breakdown. When you take the quiz and you answer these questions honestly, it gets submitted, and then I come back and I do these calculations. It's not completely automated. I send them to you, and then I invite you to join our community of people. I have a dating website called franks5stardating.com. I'll go ahead and share that really quickly, and then I'm gonna open this up to any questions for people who have any questions, who've already taken it. And then I'm just opening up for comments. We got some people who just kind of want to comment on the whole thing, and maybe they've taken it, and maybe some questions need to be on there that aren't on there. Hang on, I'm going to stop sharing this. Let's see if it goes back to me. Yep. And then I will share just what the actual dating website looks like. And the whole point of this, it's a very simple website. And the intention is, let's see, hopefully you guys can see it. Yeah. And the intention here is simply to build a community of people who are simply trying to find their way to each other in an honest and authentic way. In this community, we're not going to have people who just want to come in and play the game, and then they're looking for something quick. If you want to go do the hookup culture thing, you can go do that at Tinder or any of these other, dating websites where it's just full of people who are out here just playing a game. This community is going to be all about bringing people together who are just all about trying to find the right one, and doing it in these kinds of meaningful ways. I feel like in this day and age, in this culture where we are now online more than ever, and we have access to this kind of technology, Why not use it to help us be better about finding someone, as opposed to the way it's being used mostly by this culture, which is just exposing us to more people. You guys follow me on that one? Right now, all these dating sites are all about just throwing up a picture, writing a quick profile up, and saying, "Oh, you cute, you cute, you cute. I think I like you." And you click it, and maybe y'all talk, and maybe y'all go out, and it's so haphazard, and it's so focused on the physical. It's so focused on, okay, I physically may like you, and now you fighting whether or not you want to. Now you fighting that temptation to have sex. And the thing is, when you end up being intimate way too early, and then you realize you don't like the person, now you caught another body, you've done the wrong thing, maybe you've exposed yourself to some stuff that you don't need to expose yourself to, and this is all before really getting to know the person. We need a different way. And if this isn't it, then maybe this is something that can be improved, or just in general, it helps spur the conversation about the right way to go about things. I'm hoping that it's enough people. We'll see if it resonates. I'm hoping it's enough people out here who really are serious about finding somebody that they want to jump in and say, you know what, and this is free. I'm not charging anybody to do this. So let me jump in and see if this approach could work. So that was the quick introduction. Let's see, we've been live only for a few minutes now. So I'm like 20 minutes I've been on. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and drop the link as I talk about some other things. This link is for anybody who has any questions. Let's see if I can pin this. I might be able to pin this link to the top. I'll drop it one more time just to have it in the chat twice. And I'm going to go to the YouTube page and try to pin this link. Yeah, there we go. All right, so if anybody have any questions or comments, then I'm inviting you up. And the questions can be about this dating thing that I'm, putting together here. But even if you just want to comment overall about the way that the culture is right now, the state of the culture, or maybe your own experiences, or the way that you think things, your perspective on the way that things should go, what you think about it, then feel free. You can call in. I see Miss Renee was mentioned. I just went over here and checked on Facebook, and I see Miss Renee is actually commenting, thank you, on Facebook. And I'm not seeing it live, but maybe Miss Renee wants to come in. And I see Suzette. Suzette, I see you in the back. I'm gonna call you up if you're ready. And I want to, let me just do this in person. Let me pull this down right now. And let me just say, I want to thank you again, Suzette, for inviting me and for hosting such an amazing, informative show to your audience about what this is all about, and having I just mentioned to I don't know if you caught it when I first came on, but was mentioning to them how your whole platform is about having these kinds of discussions that inspire people, that elevate the commentary. And I just appreciate you having me on your show to be able to contribute to that. I'm glad you're joining. What's up, Suzette?
Hey, Frank. I didn't want to make it a part 2, but I was like, you know what? Let me go up and show my brother some love.
Yes.
Thank you for making tonight's show incredible.
Thank you.
I found it very, very helpful, just in terms, again, of my own self-assessment and self-reflection. And I think
let me drill down just a little bit on it, because you haven't taken a test or anything, and you were hosting.
Come on, Frank, with the professor. You ain't finna drill down on me. I just try to show some love, please, and thank you.
No, I don't want to go too deep. But let me ask this one question, Suzette.
Go ahead now.
I mean, I'm really interested in the ways that this made you think about, considering the culture, where things are now. what were some of the things that you were thinking about as I was going through and talking about, the quiz?
I think I will definitely have some challenges with self-rating. I
Mm-hmm.
think my exposure to the manosphere in the last, I guess, 6 months or so now has caused me to more see myself through a different lens rather than, my own idea of my own self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to my worth in a man's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So when I'm thinking about how would I answer this and would I be
Because
answering
it's
it
been
for,
strong. Like this manosphere stuff that's happening is very
yes,
strong, right? It's
yes.
very
So I'm like,
pervasive.
I don't even know if I'm really qualifying what I think of me now. Do you get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
and whether I should or should not as I'm taking this. I was just, because as you were talking, I was just saying, what would pose a challenge for me? Would I do the same, listening to you rate yourself in the
Mm-hmm.
various categories? And I'm thinking, would I, rate myself along the same lines, or rate myself according to what? According to my
Right.
own understanding of my intrinsic value to me,
Mm-hmm.
or to what the quote, I hate the word marketplace. Yay. I mean, I'm a businesswoman too, right? But
Yes. Yeah.
community, because again, as we've been talking about, I think the community standards are a bit distorted and not for good.
I agree.
So, yeah, that was my only maybe puzzling
Right.
piece.
Processing.
Yeah, I was just like, wait, how am I going to rate myself? I would come up, but I'm wiping my makeup off as I talk
No,
here.
all good. And plus,
But
you've been fighting. You've been under the weather a little
yes, I
bit, and
need
you're
to lay
fighting
down
that.
and actually get to my bed before midnight one of these nights. So yeah, but yeah, no, it was thought provoking for sure.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, I know you just want to come up and show some love, and you probably don't
Yeah,
want
let me make some
to.
room. Anyway, y'all big up Mr. Frank Gooden and all his hard work. It was fantastic, Frank. I just want to thank you so very much for making my channel where you debuted your 5-star dating quiz. So thank you
Yes,
again.
yes, you are so welcome. Thank you, and we'll definitely connect. Get better. I'm gonna send some prayers your way,
Thank you,
and
darling.
yeah, we're gonna stay.
I'll be in the chat. I'm just gonna drop down and listen though. Thank you so much.
Okay, all
Okay,
right.
darling.
Just
Bye.
kidding. All right, bye. And right after we got the OG Patrice. What's happening?
I
It's
cammed up. I cammed up.
you see, and she's saying that for those of you who haven't followed, Patrice for the longest didn't kind of almost in a way probably shouldn't have cammed up because of something that's going on pretty nice. It's actually happening now, and I want you to talk about it. But it's so good always to see you because, of course, we met for the first time in person at the Las Vegas Black Film Festival, which was a beautiful time. Met with you along with one other of the voice actors from My Life or Death project. And so, it's always good to just see you now, Patrice cammed up, and I can't wait to see you on the show. I hope you wasn't on it on Monday, right? Because I missed it.
No, I was not.
Okay. Okay. All
No, I
right. So
was
anyway,
not.
I'm doing a lot of talking. Go ahead.
No, thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to come up. I tell you, I'm very impressed with this idea, just even coming up with the concept. I like it. But, I agree with some of the things that Suzette was saying too, because I think, are we really truly going to be honest about rating ourselves? Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? I think that probably is the biggest challenge because we're still trying to impress someone else.
Yes.
So when they see how we rate ourselves, are we going to be truly honest? Are they genuinely going to see, well, this person is not perfect or in these areas, like honestly, or are we going to be dishonest and disingenuous as where a person could be like, okay, can't nobody be that standards be that high or rate themselves that high. That's a little bit arrogant. That's a little bit, narcissistic. So
Yes. Yeah.
are people going to be honest? But I like the concept.
Mm-hmm.
I like where it's going. I think some more questions could be asked as far as like getting into the deeper part of the vetting process of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I kind of like the concept. I like
And let me jump in real
Uh,
quick before you pivot on that, because on that one point, that is so, as you know, and Suzette knows, it's so, so important. We have to stress this honesty piece. And maybe we have to figure out ways to teach ourselves to do it, because in a way, we are so used to kind of what you mentioned, that presenting ourselves and putting the best foot forward and thinking highly of ourselves. A lot of times we do that, and this is men and women, we think that way partially for our own mental health and our own ego. You know, it's so to ask ourselves to be introspective and to say, listen, let's be realistic. Let's have a hard scale where a 5 is extremely rare. You know, when I compare it to this 5-star Michelin rated 5-star thing that I got going on, how humble, quote unquote, can I be with assessing myself? How self-aware is so important. And if we can't do that, I'm flat out. If we can't do that, how are we going to make our way towards each other? You know, how are we going to actually say, this is who I am, love me? And that's what love is, right? Loving someone for the stuff that you like, but then their flaws, because we all have them. And so it's so important. It's so important.
And even, you know, like you're saying, with the quote unquote dating sites that are out there now, people portray themselves on this hierarchy. And then, I mean, I've been on that scene. I actually met a guy that I'm dating now off of a dating site. And needless to say, it's been like 6 months and everything's going good. But the vetting process, and then, but I've been in that situation where I've been on these dates and find out that you're not what you're saying you're about.
Right.
You're not really seriously looking for a serious long-term relationship that leads to marriage. You're not serious about that. Your actions don't show that. Your follow-through, your consistency does not show any of that, dude. And then you have the conversation. Oh yeah, well, I'm just looking to casually date. Casually date and seriously date is two different things.
That's right.
So we portray one thing, and like you said, in the profile, because we're trying to draw them to us, the attraction with what we say about ourselves. And then it's a different story, if you go later down the process with dating someone. And that has been that's been the whole issue. And then
let me jump in real quick. I finished that, what I want to do, because I got so locked in, and I do this all the time. I ignore the chat. Let me bring this chat in real quick. I do it every single time, guys. I'm gonna get better about it. But I see that Gail at Night, I'm just gonna go through. Gail at Night, salute to you. Appreciate you being here. Hopefully you can add something to the conversation if you choose. Hopefully you're still here, because it's been so long since I actually went down this. I think I shouted out Vaughn. Suzette was on here. I'm just going through now. Appreciate the contributions. Adrian in the house. Hey, Adrian, how you doing? We almost connected with Adrian at the Las Vegas Black Film Festival. Adrian almost made it out. She was trying to get on the flight from California to get there, but maybe next time, Adrian. Let's see. I got Andre Terry. I'm just saluting. I want to make sure I salute you guys in the chat. Chemo, what's happening? Thank you for coming through from Suzette Speaks. I see Adrian has a question. I'm going to skip that and maybe come back to some of the questions in a minute. I just want to do the shout out, and I'm going to give it right back to Patrice. I'm going down here. Yeah, it's like some good conversation. So I just wanted to just acknowledge and honor those of you who are in the chat. I'm going to throw it back to you. So you were saying that we're at this point where people sometimes, we call it, the young people say they're capping. That's how we introduce. And then later on, we kind of get a different story. You can continue those thoughts on that. And if you think maybe something like this can help move us a little bit more towards being a little bit more accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that had been my experience for the most part, is just being out there and finding out that you know, people are not what they say they're about, or, you know,
Mhm.
what they write about themselves or how they see themselves in their profiles. I
Mhm.
mean, there's stuff like their hobbies and stuff like that is fine, but like what they looking for, that was the biggest thing that I saw that they were very disingenuous about, is what they were looking for and what the expectations in the other person that they were looking for was disingenuous as well.
I'm with you on that. What I'm hoping is this, that if we start, because this if we start basically with this, you know, Frank's 5-star dating quiz, if you will, if we start with asking these kinds of questions, as opposed to what kind of generally happen, and you can tell me if you disagree. A lot of times we start by seeing, you know, if it's online, seeing somebody and, oh, they cute, you know, oh, she, you know, she's sexy.
The physical attraction first,
That's
yeah.
you start, and then, oh, I want to get to know you, and then it's going to be some back and forth, and it starts on the physical. What if we start, you know, this process, and I've said it before, this process, the physical side of it is only 1/9 of the whole equation when you talk about these questions. Instead, we're starting
Mhm.
with the substance first. And if the
Yeah.
substance kind of gets in, falls into the package that we like, then go ahead.
So what would that look like? Because we have to be honest about that, would probably attract more women than men, because
Mhm.
men are all about the physical.
Yes.
Most men will not read your profile until they've viewed all your pictures. Like
Right.
a lot of, let's be real, a lot of them
Yes.
really don't care as much about the profile as the visual. They want to flick through them pictures first.
You're right.
and then if you're lucky, they may read your profile.
You're
So
right. You're right.
that
So let's
part.
talk about that. See, I'm glad you bring that up. Here are my thoughts on that. So, as you heard me at the very beginning, what I want to do is create a community. I don't want this to be a standalone. You take the quiz, and now you're going out, and that's that. I created a website. It's a very simple one, where once you get your scores, you take your scores and you throw up a couple pictures on your profile on the website, but you lead with your scores. And you mentioned, so that's all out there, and then you mentioned, you're right, that from what I'm experiencing right now, so far I've had about 25 people take it, and it's like roughly 17, 18 ladies and 7 or 8 gentlemen. Here's the thing though, and you tell me, as far as I can remember, and this is but going back to, you know, when I was a teenager in college, wherever the ladies are, that's where
The
the
men
fingers
will
come.
come.
So I
Yes.
don't mind that the ladies are being the first adopters here, where the ladies are seeing, because the ladies are the ones who are sort of leading the way on wanting to have substantive, long-lasting, meaningful relationships. So the ladies are kind of seeing it, and they're like, okay, I'm signing up. I hear you, Frank. I see what's going on. I kind of see that this has the potential. It's not costing me anything. So I'm going to sign up, and let's see where this goes. If I get enough of the ladies showing up, fellas, you're gonna come where the lady. That's how I see it. So they're just gonna lag
Yeah.
a little bit, and then by creating a community, and I intend to be here on YouTube talking about these things, we can start. We're keeping my intent is to kind of hold people accountable. If you want to show up and you want to be capping about all of this, this is a community. Somebody's going to talk to you, and someone's gonna, you know, I don't mind you being called out if you claim that you know, are rich. You done gave yourself a 4.5 on the wealthy scale, and turns out you know, you working at Popeyes. You know, nothing wrong with working at Popeyes, but you
Right.
have to
No shade to
represent that.
that.
No shade,
Exactly.
and no shade at even having a quote unquote low income, but you've got to represent who you are. And if we form a community of like-minded people who are all saying, "Hey, we're in this together. We just want to find the person that's for us," then, you know, I think we can kind of self-monitor our own community. I don't know what you think.
I think that's a good idea and a good concept, yes, to start. And also, Like you said, though, you know me, I'm not a Christian per se, but I do believe in God. So
Hmm.
I still would want to date someone that is a believer of the Creator, right? I still would
Yes.
want to date someone that believes in a higher power, believes in God, for them, for whatever that says.
Hmm.
If for them, compatibility is important. So how compatible, based off of what you say about yourself, would you be to someone else and they to you? So you have to look at it, like, okay, where what's more important to me? I want the guy to, I would want that guy to be close with the compatibility based off of my numbers
Right.
of how I'm viewing myself. I want him to be attracted to that because I would want him to see himself in that. Like, I really feel like she's being honest. Like, she's saying, I'm not rich, I'm not the richest person in the world, but I'm not poor either. Or,
Right.
you know what I mean? I'm not putting my values, all of them are 5-star. Like,
Right.
no, like, I'm pretty much maybe even keel, or maybe some ups and downs. I could see the real in that. And for the person to say, okay, I could be more compatible with someone like that than someone sitting up here rating themselves all 4.5 and, and 5 stars. It's like, that's almost like perfect.
This is
So,
what's on my mind right now. You're a music person, so you might even sing a little bit of this. Let's go back a little bit. There's a song that I think came out in the 80s, and you'll probably be able to identify the artist and everything. And this song, I think, wouldn't have a chance in this day and age. And part of the lyrics of the song goes something like, and maybe he sings off key, but that's all right by me.
oh, that's Denise Williams. Let's hear it for the boy.
Let's hear it for the boys. So
Yes.
you probably know, like, that song is all about
Yeah.
appreciating the man in this particular case, where she's saying he's not perfect, he's all, but
But he's
he's
perfect
perfect
for
for
her.
me.
Exactly.
Yes. We
Yes.
need that kind of that 80s mentality. We don't have that anymore.
I agree, because for the most part, people don't want to be real with themselves. So how are they going to be real with someone else? The way between media, entertainment, reality TV has warped the minds of a lot of people. And a lot of people live their lives vicariously through other people and what they see on TV, reality TV, what they see in entertainment, what they see in the media. People really, truly enjoy and live their lives vicariously through other people. And they have lost themselves in a sense of who they are and what they truly want and need, and be honest about that. If you know, it's okay with being average. Average is okay. When did average stop being okay in
Yes.
society? Like, that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? And say, okay,
100%.
I'm a little above average, or whatever, or I'm working on some stuff. Like,
Yes.
why we can't bring the real like that
Yeah.
in conversations and say, hey, look, this, I'm working on this. I'm really bad. Like for me, I know for a fact that I used to be really bad with being on time, Frank. And listen, and I had to be real about that because I lost a lot of opportunities because of that. And when
Right.
I start, listen, and when other people start telling you, look, can you please show up on time? Can you please? So I had to start coming early to be on time, because
That's
I
right.
knew the type of personality I was. I knew how I would wait until an hour before the event to get ready, knowing that it took me an hour and a half, maybe 2 if I had to have makeup and hair. Like, really? And then I'm waltzing up in there thinking I'm fashionably late or
Right.
on CP time, and I miss opportunities
Yes.
because of that.
I love
Like,
this analogy, because had you had something, like, let's say you came up, a few years ago, came up with something that asked you, okay, how on time are you in general? And this is before you had to deal with the consequences.
Uh-huh.
You probably would have rated yourself somewhere up there as opposed to the reality, right?
Yeah, because
like 4 or 5. I'll get there. What's the big deal?
Because in entertainment, let's be real, being late is being on time sometimes, especially for like galas, events, award shows, and stuff like that, right? But when you have a specific time to be at an audition, hello, and
Right.
you're late for auditions, they looking at that. They looking at you and it's like, she can't even be on time for an audition. How she gonna be late for rehearsals? Is she gonna be late for this? Which I was. Like, I was really bad with that. And I started like losing opportunities because of it, and literally having people turn me away. And I said, and then on my whole life, Frank, I heard my family tell me this. I heard friends tell me this. But I was like, I'm fashionably late. I'm on CP time, like whatever excuse that I would make. And I said, well, okay, it really don't make no sense to be showing up this late. And, that was that old saying how they would tell me, girl, you're going to be late for your own funeral.
Right. You probably heard. See, here's the thing. The reality, like at some point you could think in your mind that, okay, I'm not really late. I'm fashionable. I'm really on time. But at some point, the consequences of it had to hit you.
Yes.
You also had to listen to some other people. And so even though it may have been a challenge, you had to face that reality. And so what we're talking about in a really cool way, metaphorical way, is, okay, what are some of the things that are going on in our lives about us that we need to have that reality check about? Because if we can have that reality check and be honest about ourselves, we're only setting ourselves up to be able to present ourselves, our true, authentic selves, to somebody else who will accept you. Because there's somebody out here checking for us.
Bad connection. I don't know if it's my end or yours.
Okay. Can you hear me?
It's choppy and like
Okay.
wiry.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Let's see if we can let the chat speak on that. Like right now, I'm seeing cool on my end, but the chat will let me know if I'm being choppy or anything. But so far so good. I don't know if you're with me.
Yeah, it just got a little better. Yeah.
Okay, we got Adrian in the house. Let me go ahead and bring Adrian up. Adrian. What's going on?
No, how Rocky said, Adrian. We hear you, Adrian.
So I am average at best. My thighs are thick. My breasts are thick. I talk too much. I think too much. The manosphere does not like me.
And there's nothing wrong with being average, I mean, shout out to and rest in peace to KS, but honestly, I think when he told that lady that, I don't think it was the worst thing she's ever heard. I don't think it was the worst thing that was said, because honestly, I think it was the truth.
I mentioned this on Suzette's channel
and I have no problem with somebody even saying that about me. It's all about perception of what you think, whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me say this. And I think it was in a private conversation, but I think that when it came to KS, what happens is that people kind of objected to the tone, and we heard all the time, tone. And, I think he did try to do level setting. And for some people, they responded to the tone or to the blunt nature of it, or just telling it like it is, which he did a lot. And then other people just totally did not react to that. And so I think there's nothing wrong with telling people exactly, where you stand, but you have to, I won't say you have to, but if it's possible for you to deliver that kind of hard truth in gentle ways, then I think it's worth it to do that, because not everybody is going to respond to the tough coach, that will tell you the raw truth in order to have you improve. Not everybody's going to respond to that. And
Right.
most people will respond if you can do it in a way that is a little bit more gentle. Now, because this type of thing is not at all unique. I've interviewed say young football players who did not have father figures in their lives, but they speak about how once they went and they actually participated in a team sport and had to be coached up tough, that tough coaching by a male figure, they at first did not respond well to it. They had a hard time with that, even though they grew to understand it and overcome that, so that because they understood that the coach may have been tough on you and being tough on you, but they're telling you the hard truth. If you're going to compete on this field with everybody else, these are the things and so sometimes, with the ladies not necessarily being in the situations like that, if you come up, I'm going to call Kevin Samuels kind of maybe a tough coach. If he's hitting you with these realities like this and he's saying this is what it is, maybe you're not gonna. Some of them are gonna feel like you put me down. This isn't. I'm not saying that he wasn't, because sometimes he did get rude. I'm not saying that all the time he was a tough coach, but I think that maybe has a little bit to do with it too.
Yeah, and I didn't always agree with everything he said, but I did agree with some things he said. You know what I mean? And that's just, it is what it is. And that's kind of with anybody. If you always gonna agree with somebody, you considered a yes man or a yes woman. Like, who does that? But whatever. But but on that particular part, I honestly agree with him in what he said and what he told her. And I don't know. Maybe it was for her that it was sometimes harsh reality is hard to, it is hard to take truths about ourselves or truths of how someone else perceive us. And we got to remember that those were always his point of views.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On how he perceived the women that was coming up there. So whether you agreed or disagreed, and sometimes I agreed and sometimes I disagreed. And it's only for a handful of times that I actually watched, some of his stuff. And I admit, I never watched a full nothing of his. It was always clips here and there, but that particular one, I remember him going viral for, and I remember saying, okay, I just got to see what this Average at Best is about. So I did watch the clip of that, and even my perception of the young lady was exactly that. And I think that she was stretching it a bit, because as a Black woman that had her own business that made, over six figures or whatever she said she made, I think she had some unrealistic things about what she expected the man that was her age in that position to be. And it's just not realistically, it wasn't realistic, her expectations. And I saw that immediately, but for somebody else like her, it was a struggle for her to see that. And sometimes it's hard for us to see the things in ourselves that we want, or the expectations of what we are looking for. It's hard for us to see it, but somebody else can see it, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm hoping, and I'm going to bring someone who I just met, who I can't wait for her to join the conversation. She's in the back right now. Before I bring her up, I'm going to let Adrienne jump in with anything else she wanted to say first. But let me just say that part of this is, if we can create a community of like-minded people who are trying to do this, then hopefully these kinds of conversations we can have, and maybe even lead the way, in the community of, okay, let's I got a couple extra pounds. You meet somebody else who's got a couple extra pounds. Maybe part of what y'all do is, if you, like me, I'm in Jacksonville, I have a beach. One of our dates might be, let's go walking, and let's work on it together, so you're not expecting perfection, that type of thing.
Right. Exactly.
Adrienne, did you want to jump in on any of that before I bring up our next guest?
You're going to always be perfect to somebody else. Always. You're perfect. What's perfect for you?
So, yes. When I think about that godfather, that scripture comes to mind. I don't remember what the number in the book is, but a soft answer turns away wrath. Where is that one, Frank? I don't recall. But
I
for
don't.
me,
I think that's maybe in Proverbs. I believe I'm gonna bring
I think
somebody
it's
up who
Proverbs.
can. Yeah.
I think it's Proverbs.
Yeah.
Proverbs is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, for me, when I deal with people, like I like people to make me feel like the little girl in the pink dress.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the little girl in the pink dress?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I want to feel like the little girl in the pink dress. Now, I have another picture of me where I look like I could slice you from your gonads to your throat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to look like that. I want to look like, right. I want to look like the little girl in the pink dress.
Mm-hmm.
So when I come across a situation that make me look like the slicer or want to look like the slicer, like I just try to um, go away somewhere quietly and be off to myself. I retreat. Remember, we had that conversation privately.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to be treating when I look at what's going out here in these spaces.
Mm-hmm.
I want to retreat because I don't like what I see.
Mm-hmm. And
But
stop me.
maybe, but maybe this assessment can coax me out of my cave, Frank. Cheers to that.
And hopefully, and if not, just the first step. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring
Mm.
up Minister Renee. Now, I met and ran across Minister Renee on my Facebook page, and I want to do just that quick introduction because she is actually, as you can see, a minister, and I've listened to several of her live streams.
Wow.
And she is a woman of God. I don't know if she's taking this quiz or not. I think she may have, but I want to put that real close to the 5. Now she has her own personal convictions, and I'm sure she'll talk about them. But she mentioned, I just really liked and appreciated her perspective on this issue from the Christian godly perspective, and then some other things that she had to say. So I just wanted to say, kind of introduce you and let by way of introduction, kind of tell a little bit about you. So thank you for joining us, Minister Renee. What do you have to say on this?
Oh my goodness. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I want to say thank you all for having me today. Thank you so much. And Frank, I know that this is a divine connection.
Amen.
Ooh, okay. Yes, because relationships is something that I believe that I'm purposed to teach on. Far as someone coming from a background of doing everything the wrong way, by going into relationships from a place of not knowing who I am, not knowing my worth and my value, I really suffered a lot in the past. I've had 2 failed marriages because I didn't know what my worth was. I didn't even have standards. Like is he fine? And that's it. And I'm just being very real and transparent.
Yes.
And today, having gone through the fire and have come out on the other side, I have standards. I know that I'm dating on purpose. I know what I bring to the table, and it's not superficial. That's the thing. So I be authentic. No, I'm not rich. I believe God to be rich, but I'm saying I'm still a work in progress, right? And I look at it like this, is that it took me a long time because I was someone that always went according to my emotions. Now I understand that I have the power over my emotions. My emotions are really here to serve me, not the other way around. So now when I'm looking for a man, it's not superficial. It's more like, is this the kind of man I would want my sons to emulate? Is this the kind of man that I would want my daughters to be coming home to say, Mom, I'm thinking about marrying Jerry, because I'm looking for character, for substance. He could be rich, that's wonderful, but him being rich doesn't say that he's generous. This was a person that had the rights to decide what's going to happen to me. I want this man to be a man of faith, that the doctor may have said, oh, Mr. So-and-so, she's not going to make it, because in this kind of condition, they don't recover. I want the kind of man that's going to say, I hear what you're saying, doc, but he going to go before the Lord to find out what the Spirit has to say. Do I need to continue praying for her, Father? Just to hear from God and let God's word be the final authority. Somebody that when the storms of life come, because it comes to all of us, those that know God, those that don't know God, we understand that this storm has really come to strengthen the roots in our marriage, to make them go down deeper. And this is going to bring us closer together. And we understand that this is not for us to attack one another, but to draw even closer together to God and one another. So my first thing is he needs to be a real man of God. He needs to know who he is, because I love the test, by the way. I think it was very realistic. There's one thing that I say, the worldly way, I think, believes that the more we have in common, the better we're going to be. But from my place as a believer, with something the Lord showed me, is that it's really in the differences that we will complement each other, because it's a covenant. And the purpose of covenant, one of the main reasons, is to eliminate the weakness. So when we become one, where I'm weak, he's strong, and vice versa. So it's very rare that God puts two people together that's like the same. It's like where that man is strong, that's probably where I'm going to be weak, and vice versa, because it's going to take both of us allowing the Holy Spirit to yield to the Holy Spirit to cause our differences to make a symphony.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. And I so appreciate, number one, you bringing such an honest perspective, coming from your experiences and just being so open about it. And because it's going to take people like us, like you, where we say, hey, we this is the path that we were, we lived it. These are mistakes that we made, and we're sharing these things because this is what made us stronger. We've learned from them. And I hear you loud and clear too, when you say, and it's something that I don't mind emphasizing. Like, I do believe that part of why we're in this mess is because we have fallen away from the Lord. We've fallen away from God, just as a culture.
Yes.
And so I hear you when you say, okay, in the natural, people, we want to do it our way. We want to be the ones to make those decisions.
Right.
And you have to know that people here in the natural, when you do that and you remove God from the equation, that almost is a recipe by itself
for disaster.
Exactly.
And I want to say, I do agree with that part. I do agree, when you leave God out of it, you allow the devil to step in. The devil can be allowed to step in. So from that perspective, just as a believer of a higher power and a creator being God, I do believe in any relationship, friendship, relationship, marriage. If you don't have God in it, it leaves room for the devil to infiltrate. And I believe that that's a lot of what has happened in the world, in the schools, in the marriages, and all those things. So absolutely, I do agree with that.
And that's why it's so important for me to make sure that is a part of the sort of the questionnaire that you have, so that for those of us who find that to be important, we can gravitate towards the others of us who also exhibit that and find that to be important. Minister Renee, did you want to say something?
Right. One of the things that I wanted to say, one of my main scriptures years ago when I was doing the Blog Talk radio show, Relationships God's Way, was the scripture that we're in Matthew that talks about the person that hears these sayings of mine. This is what Jesus was saying. I'm going to liken that who hears these sayings of mine and doeth them. I'm going to liken that person to a man that built his house upon a rock. And I said, his house upon a rock, his marriage upon a rock, his business upon a rock, his family upon a rock. And then when the storms of life came and beat against that house, it remained standing firm because it was built on a rock. So it's, what are you building on? So if I'm building my relationship, see, first of all, I'm not just open to just regular dating. I need to be dating with a purpose. I'm looking for a courtship. That's what I want. I mean, pray about me, brother. Like, pray, Lord, do I need to even approach her? Because he needs to know already who he is. If he doesn't know who he is, who God called him to be, how could he effectively identify me? He need to first know who he is. And he definitely needs to know, have a clue about where he's going, what God wants to do in his life, so that he can better see how I can compliment him. Like, don't get me and try to figure out where I fit in. You need to seek God first, bro. And then you'll know where I fit in. You'll understand that I'm vital, I'm necessity to you, not out of pride, because I'm coming into the relationship not thirsty and hungry, but and looking at what it is that I can get only, but I'm coming in from a perspective of strength and empowered, saying, what can I give? How can I add value to this brother? How can I edify this brother? What do I have that will build him up? And one of the things I know is that I am an encourager. That's who God has called me to be, and his daughter. And I have the ability to make a brother feel like he's 10 feet tall. So okay, because that's what we're supposed to do as women. We need to be able to talk to our men in a way that we can build them up, and they feel like, wow, I could go out here, I could take that building, baby. Yes, you can.
Yeah, and that's important. That's something that we want. We look for in our mates. We want someone to be that type of support system for us, build us up.
We got to see it. The thing is that the natural woman that don't have the spiritual eyes, they're going to, and the man too, they're going to be limited, to what they could see.
Right.
You have to see the value in each other in order to build each other up and more value. And if you are a good woman, and pure of heart, you will see the value in pure of heart in that man, and you will want to pour into that man. Actually, that is the job of us to do to each other, is to pour into each other. So if we consistently pour into each other, we can't do anything else but be built up and go exactly where we need to be in a marriage. The thing that I see mostly, and you let me know what your take is, Frank and Adrian, and I'm not sure, Minister, if you're on these YouTube streets, but we are. I see a lot of, the blaming, the name blame game, and I see a lot of the expectations that men want of women. They're not even, for the most part, meeting the standards themselves.
Right.
I think I see a lot of false flag, and basically, you hear a lot of the men that want these submissive women, but are you worthy of submitting to? Because this has been my experience in being married. My one and only marriage, I was married for over 10 years. My husband never had to demand me to be submissive. The type of man he was, it was a natural thing for me.
Come on.
It's a natural thing as a woman. A man shouldn't have to demand it, tell a woman, force her to be none of these things. It just is. And if you are the right man, the right woman is going to naturally submit or whatever that she needs to do as a woman to that man, because she knows her place and her value in herself and in that man. So he don't have to tell her these things. This is just something to me, and I hear this so much, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, that should be a natural, that is a God-given natural thing that God put in us all, for a woman to be naturally submissive to the right man that's worthy of being submitted to.
Say that, OG. Say that, OG.
I love that when she said, worthy, because see, the way that God designed it, as the man is serving you, you're gonna serve him back. So it's like, okay, as long as you are treating me like the queen, it's like it's second nature for me to roll out the red carpet for my king. But you can't dog me because we as women, we need security like they need respect and sex.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I know that what you're building is for us, oh man, I'm there 1,000. But the time I find out that you doing this so that you can go,
Yes.
Ma'am.
but I'm just saying,
We say deuces.
no, right, not see, that's the thing. It's like those men you're talking about, they're superficial. It's like, brother, get a life. You talking about you want a woman that has a certain body type and you're overweight. Are you kidding
Right.
me? You know, and see,
Right.
ladies, let me just share this. I'm on the opposite side. I'm very, very small. So all my life, I grew up, all the guys always wanted my friends. Okay. I was the home girl. You know, they want the ones with the boobs and everything. I was a late bloomer. It looked like I never bloomed. Okay. This is 5 kids later, 5 grandkids later, and I'm still the same size I was at 14. Okay. So now I can feel a little good because I'm in my 50s, but still, you know what I'm saying, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Men usually, and I'll get the ladies saying, you know, and all of this. I said, no, don't be feeling like that. I said, because the men are looking at you, they're not looking at me, you know, far as the shape, you know.
Right.
But I feel you know, I want a brother that's not superficial. You know, be attracted to me, of course. Now, you don't want somebody that just talking about they just looking for the inner. Because now,
Right.
look, I gotta kiss you. I
Right.
gotta be sleeping with you.
Right.
No, I do need to be attracted to you. We're not even gonna go there.
Right.
But it just can't be 100% about, you know, the
The
look.
physical.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Banging body.
right. I feel like let the other stuff be the primary thing, because I think that's where we've gone wrong in the past.
Yes.
Like, you know, all the other things that I spoke about, the spiritual and all of this, his qualities, his characteristics and things like that. And then we look at, okay, now how does he look and how does he manage his finances, or whatever
Right.
the case may be. But let the other stuff be the primary and let this be the secondary.
Yes.
And it's so hard to say that to men because they so physical.
But guess
Right.
what? We are, but guess what? We physical too. That's what I realized.
And yes,
I am visible, visual too. It's
Mhm.
like,
Yes.
"Oh, brother, don't even come with that. We, you know, we visual. So am I, and you
Right.
need
Yes.
We all are.
exactly.
Yeah. And that's real. And that's something that we absolutely, it's one of those things we, again, let's just be real about it, and where our own, how we see our own attraction or where we are with that.
yes.
And then the other things that are important with that, that's going to be like a personal, you know, trade-off, because
Right.
none of us are perfect.
That's
None
right.
of us are that, you know, if I'm going to use that analogy, none of us are that 5-star restaurant that represents
Right.
0.2% of the entire US population. None of us are that. So we have to make these kinds of wise decisions.
Absolutely.
At least thinking about it, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, we're going to make sure that those of us who love God, we're going to make sure God is in this as well. For those of us who don't know God, maybe this is an approach. You know, these are the kinds of things that we consider, because right now the world is lost. Right now the world is all physical. All I'm going to get with you, and then it's like it's a flip thing. A lot of the ladies, not all of them, but I see a lot of the ladies, they're just going for the richest one, and you know, when it meets somebody else, you know, who's richer, you know, and the physical works in that too. Then hey, you know, you're going to try to get, you know, what interests you.
right.
And the fellas are on our side are like you said, we're going for, you know, we so seduced with our eyes that's part of the reason why all the ladies are running out getting the breast jobs and the
I'm not doing
BBWs
none of
and,
that.
and thank goodness, because
None of that.
that might get an attention, right? And that's the thing. What they don't know is, yeah, it might get our attention. We gonna look. If it's that your waist, you got your waist snatched and you got everything, that hourglass, those guys, yep, you done got our attention. But then what happens what
That's
happens
all
after that?
That's right. Like that's all you are is that body.
Yes.
But you know, the sad, can I say this, please, Frank? The sad part about it is I've seen good men, good brothers fall for that. And I'm saying, why were you so shallow? Wait a minute, because I'm just gonna say how I see it.
Yes.
She's like a hired assassin. She came from the enemy to find out where your strength lies so that he could put your daggone vision out. So you never get to where you're supposed to go. Because like Neo and Fabulous, you know, they made that song, You Make Me Better. And one of them, I don't know if it was Fabulous or Neo, but one of them said, I'm going to need Coretta Scott if I'm going to be king. See, he knew the kind of woman he's going to need if he going to be who he was called to be. Right. And that's what our men need to understand. Stop taking women that you know they don't share your values, but you know, I'm gonna say she's a Canaanitish woman, you know. In other words, they exotic looking. You understand?
Canaanite minister.
You know, yeah, I have to say that, okay, because God even tell us
I heard that
from serving the true and living God. It happened to Solomon, and Solomon had the wisdom of God.
Yes.
So, hello.
Yeah, and listen, it reminds me.
Real quick, Patrice, I want to say this. I'm going to throw it to you. See, because as the only man right now on this panel, I have to just let you know how I want to express, and I want to go too deep with it, but just express just how powerful that physical is on us.
No, it is. It is.
So powerful. I'm telling you, you see that fine woman who's a diamond, all that, it does something. Go ahead, Patrice.
It reminds me of that scene in Why Did I Get Married, when he left Jill Scott for the other pretty woman, and then he got to talking about her. He was like, man, she don't cook, she don't clean, she don't shop, she just don't. It's like she didn't do nothing. He was like, she don't do this, she don't do that, she don't want me to kiss her, she just don't.
He left his 80% for that 20%.
Right.
And hello.
Men,
right. It just takes control.
You from your money. You married the wrong woman or the wrong man. You know what I'm saying, men and women. If you know, she could be beautiful, but who wants somebody that she's on your arm like a trophy? Because at the end of the day, when you take her home, you don't even want her. She is like arm candy, like everybody else. She makes you look good with your corporate buddies and all of this. But when you go home, it's no substance to her. She's like, I want to listen to Beyonce. Oh, I want to get my nails done. Oh my God, I can't cook tonight because my nail. No, I'm just saying, like, if that's all you are is physical, it's a shame that.
And they don't
about their substance, the man's substance,
they don't even want to have a baby for the man naturally because they're afraid of messing up their body. Let's hire a surrogate. What do you call them? A surrogate. Because I can't get my body, you know, I don't want no stretch marks and I don't want my body getting, let's just hire a surrogate. You like, it's like, oh my God. It's like you said, superficial.
Yes. And the worst thing is, what about these women? Because I've seen it on some of the reality shows. I seen a man that he was a doctor and he just seemed like he was under so much stress because he married a woman that want to be like the Joneses. Oh, we need a bigger house. He is stressed out with the house. They already have, she's not working, mind you. She felt like, I had your kids and you're going to take care of me. I mean, look at that. That is selfish. See, the thing about the world is, this is another thing I'm going to say. The world does not have access to that unconditional love. The Bible tells us that unconditional love. They have access to the eros love, the philia love, and the storge love. That's that friendship love, the romantic love, the family love. But the unconditional love is supernatural, and it only comes when you get born again. So my thing is, you're going to get on my nerve. How am I going to be able to forgive you without that unconditional love.
Exactly.
Because other than that, my love is going to be somewhat superficial. It's going to be tit for tat. All right, he did this. He not eating tonight. How about that? He did this. I'm saying, okay. And look, even as a believer, we still have the ability to not yield to what we have. I can decide I'm not going to yield to the agape love of God. I want to be angry.
Right. And these things happen.
Just to know I have access to it is what I'm saying.
See, what we're doing is we're really doing, and we're doing it kind of with one side, but it's the flip side with the men too, where we'll make these kinds of wrong-headed decisions as well, or be on it goes for both sides. But what I say is that what you're talking about, the way I see it, is this is describing the way that the culture is lost. Like this, part of the reason why there are so many ladies out there who maybe have that mentality is because they grew up in this mentality. It's been this way in terms of, it's been a long time now since we've had where the norm was a 2-parent household,
right?
Raising your children with these types of values and in this type of community. It's been a long time since that happened. It's been a while now that we've had social media and the impact of an Instagram or Facebook, or like Facebook is for the old fogies like us, I guess, but with the what is it, Insta and Snapchat and
Twitter,
Twitter and all these new ones, where when you get hit with that day in and day out, and on Instagram it's these Instagram models now is what they call them, but they really just the chicks that don't have on any clothes. They're not really modeling, they're just shaking their stuff around. And that's normal, day in, day out. That's how you get to thinking that that's what's important.
And this is the thing. I think the Black image is lost. It's a lost art in the Black community. The image that we had, that I grew up in the times where I grew up in an image of self-awareness, self-esteem, self-love. When I would read Ebony magazine and seeing people with my skin that looked like me, when I would see Essence magazine and Jet magazine and see the beauty of the week in Jet magazine, that was class. That was sex appeal with class, in a classy way. It wasn't ratchet. It wasn't ghetto. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It was self-awareness. It was pride in how you looked when you walked out the door, how you would hold your head up and present yourself. When I would watch the Image Awards on TV and see how Black people were portrayed and how they spoke, and the pride and in the strut of their walk and their heads being held up high. We don't see that anymore. It's gone. It's a lost art in the Black community. So it's different now. And we're being told to accept, women, walking out their door looking any kind of way with bonnets on their head at the airport. And I was at the airport not too long ago in Arizona, and it was 2 young ladies. You could tell they were, because I was on my way to Vegas. They was on their way to Vegas. You could tell they were strippers, and they literally was at the airport with these type of wares on, and thought that they were going to be allowed to get on the plane. Are you going to the stripper club, or are you getting on the airplane to go to Vegas to go strip? Like, listen, and then they were, all eyes on them is showing that literally this is what you think of yourself in an airport, that you want all eyes on you, and the conversation to be about you in an airport. And this is what we think of ourselves. This is the esteem we hold ourselves in, and you think it's acceptable. And then they were stopped, of course, and said, you have to put some clothes on.
Of course.
To get on this airplane, you have to look appropriate. Like,
and they didn't have any idea, did they? They were just clueless going in.
I mean,
that's the culture.
Yeah. It was crazy. I was like, is this really what it is? And then to get mad at someone for them, looking at them a certain way, whispering, talking, and saying, young lady, maybe you want to put a sweater on top of what you have on, because your booty cheeks are showing, excuse my language, but
Right.
you know, all of this is out. Like,
Right.
you're
Right.
not at the strip club yet.
Right.
You get, you know, like, we got babies on airplanes, we got toddler, we got like, what are
Right.
we doing? But we saying, oh, people should be able to do what they want to do. It's not about that. People just don't want to abide by rules and regulations. No, it's the fact that your self-esteem is shot in the Black
Right.
community now. The self-esteem, you value yourself and your image so low that you will literally get on an airplane looking like that. And that's
Right.
supposed to be
It's
acceptable.
Mhm.
So hopefully we can, what you'll see is, as we move forward with something like this, and again, we'll see if it resonates, we want to be able to talk about these kinds of things in a way that is edifying. Just be the example. You know, like, you know, we're out here, I know I am out here single, and the way to handle it for me is to have these kinds of, just be upfront and real about it and put it out there and say, hey, this is the way that I want to go about, you know, doing this more in a more proper way. You know, not to say that, you know, like in the past, I didn't do things in the right way, but here it is now. I'm going to try. And then we speak on it and we try to put it out there and show, because if we don't do it right, if we're not honest and we come at it from our perspectives and be really out there and vocal about it, then these younger, you know, Generation Z coming up, you know, the millennials, they, how are they going to know? Right? Because they're not going to church. They're not tuning in to the online, you know, broadcast. They're not doing that. They're clubbing. So, you know, we got to be about it.
And twerking. Don't leave out twerking. They twerking too.
Yeah. Yes.
And Frank, can I ask you something? I was thinking as you were talking about the men taking this, as you know, the Kingdom Singles Mix and Mingle.
Yeah, please talk about that too.
Right. Okay. So, ladies, oh my God, this is for Christian singles, right? Well, I call them Kingdom Singles Mix and Mingle. And it's an event that's going to be online via Zoom, and it's for men and women who they, you know, of like precious faith to come together once a week, and I'm creating a platform for everybody to get to know one another. Now, the funny thing is, a friend of mine had put together some kind of app, and it asks all these, it's like a dating app, and he's a Christian, and I purchased it. And I actually used it for the event because I had the first one like about 3 weeks ago. Turned out to be pretty okay. You know, we had some guys up there and we had the women. And the thing is that I am marketing. I've been reaching out to men, like kind of being selective. I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, if you look like you're not about nothing, even though you're in a singles group, Christian group, we're going to bypass you. We're going to keep it moving.
Yeah, you're curating. You're curating.
Right. Yeah, and I'm doing the same thing with the women too, believe it or not. And so the thing is that as we come together, I tell them that it's a purpose for divine connections. Now, divine connections are not limited to husband and wife. I might need a business partner. I might need somebody that launches what I'm doing. I'm also a relationship coach. So you never know. Like my thing is that, and I'm also having a platform where people that if they're in business, they can put their information in the chat, you know, because I'm all about the kingdom. The kingdom is all about being advanced. So if I'm sowing into you, I'm getting blessed. Hello. You know what I mean? So as I'm blessing you, it come back to me. So I'm thinking that I could use that thing that you have, the quiz.
Yes.
That could be like, that's our thing. Like last time we had these questions.
Right.
They were answering them. Nobody seemed like they felt any kind of way. They were like, yes, I want to be married. Where you are right now, could you really say that you are ready to have a serious relationship? Everyone said yes. And look, we're all still connected 3 weeks later. You see, so and it's beautiful, and we're supporting each other, and they're gonna come again next week. So if I could get these, and then I've been reaching out to other men. I've had men sharing my stuff, but I was told them, I said, listen, I'm reaching out to you men because you know the women are going to show up. I just
Mhm.
want to level the playing field. Come
Yes.
on. Come
Yeah.
on
So
out.
come on out.
Your Miss
And
Right might be up in here. Come on
right,
now.
right.
You know,
You're
so
right.
yeah, you
Well,
know.
then absolutely. So whatever way you want to see fit, absolutely. What's the date again,
It's
just
on
to
a
put it out here for
Monday. It's
everybody?
every Monday now, starting next week.
Okay,
Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I'm in
okay,
Georgia.
okay, got it. All right, so we'll put that out there for anybody, and you just make sure you communicate through Minister Renee because you heard it.
Yes,
She's
it's
curating.
on Zoom. It's the you know, I have that card. Frank, you ain't put that up on your website, but that's okay, Frank. It's all right.
I've been so big. You have no. I will go ahead and do it. Don't worry.
No, because I feel like this is something that's going to expand. Like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? And this
Yes.
gives me something. I'm like, this would be the perfect thing to do on Monday because it didn't take a long time. If
Right.
it's taking you a long time to do that test, either you're not comfortable about answering the questions. But my thing is, I just felt like I didn't have anything to lose. I listen. I want the man I know we're gonna complement one another. I'm not looking for a clone.
Right.
You gonna be strong where I'm struggling. You're gonna be
Right.
like, hey, you need to eat better. You
That's
know
right.
what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right. Right. And that's how it works. You're right. You
Exactly.
complement each
And
other.
I'm gonna be like, you need to pray more, son. You need to
Yes.
pray. You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly. It could be a yin and
I
yang
know
like
where I
that.
am. Hello, I know where I am.
Mhm.
And yeah, like he's gonna be more likely, he's gonna be more practical because I'm spiritual, right? I'm not saying he's not going to be spiritual, but he's going to be the side that balances me out because I could tend to be very spiritual. And he's probably very practical. And now Holy Spirit got to help us fine tune these things before we kill each other. You know what I'm saying? And learn how to make a symphony.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's the way I see that.
That's how it happens. But you got to be in an environment to, allow that to happen. And that whole environment can't be one where people just focusing on the flesh.
But you know what? I think, Frank, too, that it's hard. How could you expect people that's not in God to not be thinking the flesh?
It's
like,
hard.
think about that.
That's challenging.
I'm being very honest. Like, even in God, you have to make a decision that I want to live where I'm honoring my body, I'm honoring God, right?
Right.
So you imagine when you don't have God, it's all about how you feel.
What do you do? Right.
It's all about how you feel. So if it feels right to me,
right.
It's right to me. Like they don't have, a lot of times they don't have that, they getting away from the right and wrong. And they're now starting to embrace something like what you said, Patrice, if it's right to them.
Right.
If it's wrong to them, it's wrong. Like there's no absolute, if you understand.
Yeah. And for the most part too, we always want something we know we can't have, right? Like a lot of the men that go on and look at these IG models, for the most part, these are women they can't have, probably can't even afford.
Right.
So their expectation should not be to look for those type of women.
Right.
It's no shade. Like I know it's men out there that I can't have. I mean, it's just the way it is. Right. And I think if we be realistic with that, you know what I mean? That we could find the right person for us. Like your average man is not going to get the Instagram model.
Right. It's not going to happen.
And the thing about that too is like, I don't want somebody that told me, well, babe, these are implants in my chest. This is, I mean, that's just no.
Right, but that's again, you're not seeing being a woman. You're not quite.
Right.
You're not quite seeing it how men see it, but a lot of men are doing it. But let me answer your question. So you're right. When you're not, how do you show people how to steer away and try to veer away and resist the flesh if they don't have, say a relationship with God? For me, with something like this, what I'm trying to do is lead through explaining in a way that people can understand the perils of leading with the flesh. And a lot of times, I mean, they all are living it because all of these same ladies who are out here leading with it. They're putting it all out there and they're getting what they get, but then they're seeing. They're not these dudes are not staying with them. They just, it's in a song. It's this latest song that's out here. All the fellas full of S. You just a homie once they hit. You know what I'm saying? They hit and then they're out. And it's that, and so you are setting yourself up for a situation where that's all they see you as, and once they get it, they're gone, and they're living it. So you have to explain to them that, listen, this is what happens when you lead with flesh, and you know it. I'm not lying to you. We see it time and time and time again, and you're complaining that ain't no real good man. No, you're going about it in a way that is putting both of you at risk, and you fall into the flesh. Now you got another body, and you're not leading with the things that rather set you up for, a great, long-lasting relationship. That's how I.
Go ahead.
This is the thing. Yeah. The big money, multi-million-dollar rapper man or sports figure or entertainer that gets the Instagram model or the rapper lady with that type of body. Look what they still go through in their relationships and marriage. They still get cheated on. Exactly. They still get side babies by other women. They still go through habitual lying and cheating in those relationships.
Exactly. Because a lot of time it's superficial, and but my thing is that I feel like it's about leading by example. I have people, because as a relationship coach and just being called to women, period, I had the privilege to meet so many women and help them to put the broken pieces of their lives back together, like their self-esteem and self-worth. Because I've had women that said, but Nay, I be wanting it too. Yeah, but at the end of the day, how does it make you feel? You know that you really want marriage. Right. You know that you want a serious relationship. I'll give it to you raw in love. But you really want a serious relationship. The man is telling you that he's not trying to be married. So why are you still having sex with him? Right. And now, wait a minute. And you now lied to yourself and said, well, you know what? I wanted to. I mean, no, you're the one that's going to be really hurt because you keep saying you wanted to, but that's what's keeping you roped in. And when people understand the power of sex, not that sex doesn't have to be good. It doesn't even, I knew people that they said, girl, and they crying because they didn't even have an orgasm, but they couldn't get the person out of their soul.
And minister, just because you got the man and got the husband, don't mean you're happy.
No, and that's what I said. I said I refuse to be a wife in name only. Okay, see, because it's not just for me. It's not about my husband. I want my divine partner, somebody that we edify one another. I've experienced that you could have someone come into your life and literally draw out things in you that you didn't even know existed because you were always with the wrong people. But with the right person, all of a sudden you think, I'm not romantic. Next thing, you romantic. Listen, I have a story. But anyway, I'm just saying. I'm telling you, like, you might think, oh, I don't like to cook. I'm done. My children are grown now. So no. You get the right man, child, all kind of stuff start coming. You start to become Susie Homemaker because it's something about what he brings to you that brings out the absolute best in you. You thought that stuff was dead and gone and those days were over. Girl, it done came back to life. I'm just saying.
Well, I want to throw it to Patrice. And because I want to always be respectful of our time as well as the people who are here with us. I'm going to begin to wind things down. This is just the first. Hopefully, this whole thing is brand new, and I'm going to be sticking on this for a minute as well. Like I'm going to come back to this. So this is going to be a continuing conversation that we have, where we can talk about different aspects of it as well. So I want to kind of throw it to Patrice, and is there when we talk about this whole thing, this new approach to dating, where we are now, some of the things that we should be doing. Is there a way that you can kind of maybe sum up your thoughts and have any thoughts about maybe what Minister Renee said as well?
Yeah, I think, a new approach to dating, if it's something fresh and new that, that is not just the status quo and the status quo and is not the norm. And if it sparks your interest and piques your interest in any shape, form, or fashion, yeah, go for it. I say go for it, because if something that you're doing now isn't working,
right?
What's wrong with trying something new? And I definitely be open to it. But I believe there's a reality that we have to be real about ourselves, is to be true and honest as to who we are, so we'll get what we deserve. If we don't be honest with ourselves, how are we going to get someone that's deserving of us? Yeah. If I go out here and set myself on this high standard plateau, and then I get this certain type of man, and I don't meet the expectations of what I said to him that I am,
right?
Then that's deceiving.
That's right. And what is he gonna do? And
it's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work.
Right.
So we have to be real about who we are to ourselves first. I think that's the most important thing, and everything else will fall in place.
I believe that we have to embrace our own truth.
Mm-hmm. And I'm actually going to have you follow up on that, Minister Renee, and then I'll go ahead and close this out. But anything else you want to add to what OG Patrice is mentioning, or anything else that you see that we need to be doing?
I just feel like, let's lead by example. Like the ones that know better, let us do better, so that people in our spheres of influence can see, wait a minute, I noticed something different about this couple over here.
Yes.
Man is with her, or this woman is with him, and I know I'm looking good, but he is really into her. He didn't look one time, and she is really into him, and he might not be a big man or anything, but it's just, it's that connection. It's like they see something in you that they know they don't see. Like, so let's lead by example. That's the best way I could say, leading by example. You're not going to get worldly people to do godly things. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen if they don't contain the ingredients. I'm being honest, because the world's way is all about the self. It's no dying and denying self, and no instant gratification, honey. I'm ready now. I know I just met you, but it's on, and the sad part about it is, even though there are consequences to their actions, and a lot of them suffer heartache after heartache after heartache, because they don't realize that it's not about getting a different man. You can't run away from you. It's something in you that continues to gravitate toward these kinds of people, men that are emotionally unavailable. You don't know how to vet them. Like, seriously, like, stop giving your heart away. Stop giving your heart away and see if he qualifies for your heart. That's all.
And like Patrice, want to add a little something?
Slow down.
No, I'm just, listen, that part, she hit the nail right on the head. Absolutely right. We have to stop giving, especially women, be too quick to give of ourselves, be too quick to jump in the role of the wife, and the man not even showing us that he's husband worthy, but we playing the wife role and all of that, and just jumping in too fast without, like you're saying, and really we can vet better and make better choices, but we should not always lead by our heart. If there are red flags, we have to be real about those things in people, because when people show you who they are the first time, you should believe them. You should believe them.
Yep. Well, this is just the beginning.
And don't forget to check your girl out on Fox TV on Monday nights. Don't forget the lyrics. Your girl's gonna make her appearance coming up soon at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, whatever time that is for you on your time zone.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see.
7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday.
No. Say that again, because I think she said Central. Go ahead. What
Yeah, I
time?
said
What time is it Central?
7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Mondays on Fox. Yes.
Right.
So
So
whatever
whatever that
time
That's
that is
six.
for you
That's 6 o'clock.
on your time zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's 6 o'clock for me. So that means that I could support you on that Monday at 6 o'clock.
Thank
Is it
you. I
6 or
appreciate
8?
that.
Because I'm Eastern Standard, so that CST is an hour behind, right?
Right. So is it 8?
So if her thing is at 7, I
Right.
can listen to you at 6 because my thing starts at 7:30.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure. I felt like I thought it was 8 our time if it's 7 o'clock.
No,
Yeah, that's Eastern Standard Time is 3 hours ahead of. Wait, is it 2 hours or 3 hours ahead of Central Standard Time?
I thought Central Standard Time is 1 hour in front of Eastern Time. 1 hour in front. Like, where do you live? What state?
No. The time
No.
it comes on is 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if
Right.
you're on Eastern Time,
That should be 6.
that's what 2 hours ahead, right?
No, we're
1
next to
hour.
it. It's just one.
It's just
1 hour ahead. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
All
No,
right,
I'm
well,
I'm on Pacific Standard Time. So,
Yeah, she's
but
on Pacific.
it's aired as 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So just check your local listings for whatever
there
time
you
zone
go.
it is.
okay.
That's the best way.
And where do I
Just do it
find
that
this at? Is it on
Uh,
YouTube?
No,
No,
it's
no,
on
it's on
TV, on Fox TV. On
Okay,
Fox TV.
okay.
Yeah.
I certainly will check it out. sis.
Monday nights. Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, we're gonna
Thank
be
you,
looking
Frank.
forward to it. Yes, thank you. And it's a good way to segue. One of the things that we're going to talk about, a number of things, is what you guys brought up. But then we hopefully we'll get a married couple, someone who's been married for a while, who can talk about these types of things that we are saying, what married couples do, how they love on each other, how they support each other. And we can see, like, I can think of many married couples who aren't the quote unquote perfect, physically, and we can see, you got to see how little that stuff matters. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Because people don't get a chance to see and experience it. They're still caught up on the physical, and we want to be attracted to the person, but they don't have to be perfect.
No,
So we'll have
absolutely.
other conversations about that.
And I think it's a good idea. Recently, I had posted, there was a marriage conference, like a marriage enrichment conference from Dr. Bill Winston's ministry. It was free. It was for 4 weeks. I was there watching every episode, every speaker, and I was learning, because those are things I'm passionate about. I would want someone that share in that too. I feel like, how you gonna, if you're not getting any new information, you're gonna stay the same. So I want somebody that's open to those kinds of things, not somebody feel like, well, I know it all already. No, I don't know it all. So I'm constantly on the grow and on the learn. I'm open to learn so that I could be better. And matter of fact, I'm coaching a married couple, and they're doing amazing, and they're Christians. And I'm like, I'm standing in awe of what they was telling me tonight. They were like, oh, we are discovering things that we need to start to do more often, like make date night. It should be a priority.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying. I want to save all this good stuff.
Okay. Right, Frank, because we could keep going. I know.
Exactly.
I told you last night, I said, oh, Frank, I got to go. I knew I had to go to bed. Because I said I was getting started. Okay, but
it's
go
okay.
ahead.
It's all good. It's all good. So yeah, it's a lot. We're starting something that I think is going to be powerful. You guys know how I like to end my show. I will run my outro. Please take the time, those of you who are still with us, to type something good in the chat, leave your goodbyes, and I'll let everybody here go ahead and wave goodbye. And Minister Renee, I think you're frozen on us right now.
Yes,
but
I am.
you wave. It's okay. We got you too.
Okay.
And I look forward to working with you directly. I'm gonna go ahead and post, like you said, I'm gonna post your ministry meeting coming up pretty soon.
The Kingdom Singles, that's Monday.
That's it.
Kingdom but don't forget, we need to figure out how we're gonna get these questions to the people, because that's what I'm going to put the group. It's gonna be in Zoom. So how could you do the presentation
we'll work with. I'm gonna make that happen, and we'll figure it out behind the scenes.
Okay. Okay. Amen.
There you go. That's
night,
it. Yeah, we
everybody.
connected, like you
Pleasure
said.
meeting you. It was awesome meeting
Nice
you.
meeting you
OJ.
too, Minister.
Everyone, yes. God bless you all.
God
Thank
bless
you. You too.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Oh,
Good
good
night.
night. Good
We'll
night. I
catch
gotta
you on
get
the
up
next
on
one.
this.
Type something good.
All right.
Wow.